The text arrived at 6:23 a.m. while I was finishing my morning run along the Charles River in Boston. My phone buzzed against my armband, and I glanced down to see my father's name on the screen. "Need you home ASAP, family emergency, call me." I stopped mid-stride, my breath forming small clouds in the crisp October air. My father, David Moreau, didn't send dramatic texts. He was a lawyer, measured and precise with his words. If he said emergency, something was seriously wrong. I called him back immediately, still catching my breath from the run. "Dad, what's wrong? Is someone hurt?" "Victoria, thank God you answered." His voice was tight, strained. "We need you to come home to Chicago this weekend. It's about your sister." My sister? Of course it was about Maya. What happened to Maya? She's having some issues with her pregnancy. High-risk complications. The family is gathering to support her, and we need you here. As a doctor. I blinked, jogging slowly in place to keep my muscles warm. "Dad, I'm not an obstetrician. I'm in my surgical residency. If Maya has pregnancy complications, she needs a specialist, not..." "Victoria, she specifically asked for you. She trusts you more than anyone else." That stopped me cold. Maya had asked for me? Maya, who hadn't returned my calls in 4 months? Maya, who'd made it clear at every family gathering that my medical career was too intense and not very fun to talk about? "Okay," I said slowly. "I can try to get coverage for the weekend. But Dad, if it's serious, she really should be seeing a maternal fetal medicine specialist. I can give you some recommendations. Just come home, Vic. Your mother is beside herself and Maya needs her big sister right now." Something in his tone made me pause. There was an undercurrent I couldn't quite place. Urgency, yes, but also something that felt performative. "How far along is she?" "What?" "Maya. How far along in her pregnancy?" There was a pause, a small one, but enough to make my chest tighten. It's early still. Look, can you just get here? We'll explain everything when you arrive." I ended the call with a promise to check my schedule, but as I walked back to my apartment in Beacon Hill, something felt off. My father's evasiveness, the vague details, the sudden need for family unity. I hadn't been home to Chicago since Maya's engagement party 6 months ago, an event where I'd spent most of the evening standing alone by the catering table while relatives asked me when I was going to settle down and start a real life instead of being married to work. Maya had been radiant that night, showing off her ring to anyone within a 5-foot radius. Her fiancé, Connor, worked in finance and had the kind of easy confidence that came from never having to prove himself. He'd barely acknowledged my presence, even when Maya introduced me as my sister, the one who's going to be a doctor. Going to be. As if 4 years of medical school and 2 years of residency didn't count until I had the final degree in hand. Back in my apartment, I opened my laptop and checked the resident schedule. Getting coverage for a weekend wasn't impossible, but it meant calling in favors and rearranging patient care. I picked up my phone to text my chief resident, then hesitated. Instead, I called Maya directly. It rang 4 times before going to voicemail. Her voice bright and cheerful. "Hey, you've reached Maya. I'm probably out living my best life, so leave a message and I'll get back to you when I can." Living her best life. The phrase she'd adopted after college, when she'd moved back home and taken a job at a boutique marketing firm that specialized in wellness brands. She worked remotely most days, lived in a converted loft in Lincoln Park that my parents helped her afford, and posted Instagram stories of her morning yoga sessions and artisanal coffee. I tried calling again, still no answer. That's when I decided to do something I probably shouldn't have. I called my cousin Rachel, Maya's best friend and maid of honor. "Victoria!" Rachel's voice was surprised but warm. "Oh my God, it's been forever. How's the doctor thing going?" "It's going well, thanks. Listen, Rachel, I'm trying to get in touch with Maya. Dad said she's having some pregnancy complications?" There was a pause. A long one. "Pregnancy complications?" "Yeah, he said it was high risk that the family is gathering to support her. I'm trying to rearrange my schedule to get home this weekend, but I wanted to check in with her first." "Victoria." Rachel's voice dropped to a whisper. "Maya's not pregnant." The words hit me like cold water. What? She's not pregnant. She and Connor broke up 3 weeks ago. She's been staying at your parents' house since then, barely leaving her room. Your mom has been trying to cheer her up, but Maya's been pretty depressed. I sank into my desk chair, staring out at the Boston skyline. So there's no medical emergency. No, there's no emergency at all, unless you count your sister having a complete meltdown because Connor called off the engagement. I closed my eyes. Of course. Of course, this was about Maya's broken engagement, not a medical crisis. And of course, my father had lied to get me home, knowing I wouldn't drop everything for another round of comfort Maya while she recovers from a relationship. Rachel, can I ask you something? Sure. When was the last time you saw me? Like, in person? She thought for a moment. The engagement party, I think. In April? You looked really tired. Maya said you were working crazy hours. That was 6 months ago. Oh wow, has it really been that long? Time flies, I guess. But Maya talks about you all the time. She's so proud of you. I almost laughed. Maya talked about me to Rachel but hadn't returned my calls in months. Maya was proud of me but had never once asked about my residency, my patients, or how I was handling the pressure. Rachel, I need to ask you something else, and please be honest. Did anyone in my family mention that I graduated medical school? When did you graduate? May. 3 months ago. Silence. Victoria, no one said anything about a graduation. Wait, you graduated medical school? That's amazing. Congratulations. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. My medical school graduation. The culmination of 4 years of impossible exams, clinical rotations, and sleepless nights. The day I'd walked across the stage at Harvard Medical School and received my MD. The day I'd sent photos to the family group chat. The day no one had responded. I'd told myself they were busy. Maya was planning her wedding, Mom was helping with arrangements, Dad had cases to prep, everyone had their own lives. But now I realized the truth. They hadn't responded because they hadn't really noticed. Thanks, Rachel. Listen, I need to go. Can you do me a favor and not mention we talked? Of course. But Victoria? You should come home soon. Maya could really use her big sister right now. I hung up and sat in the quiet of my apartment. Outside, Boston hummed with its usual energy. Medical students hurried past on the sidewalk below, backpacks heavy with textbooks. Residents like me grabbed coffee between shifts. The city that had become my home while my family forgot I existed. I picked up my phone and called my father back. Vic, thank God. Did you get coverage for the weekend? Dad, I talked to Rachel. Silence. Maya's not pregnant. More silence. And there's no medical emergency. I heard him exhale slowly. Victoria, your sister is going through a very difficult time. So you lied to me. I didn't lie. I said it was a family emergency, and it is. Maya needs support right now, and as her older sister? As her older sister. What? I drop everything and come running every time she has a breakup? This isn't just a breakup. She was supposed to get married in 2 months. The wedding is canceled, the deposits are lost, and she's devastated. I leaned back in my chair, looking at the diploma hanging on my wall. Harvard Medical School. Doctor of Medicine. Victoria Elena Moreau. Dad, did you know I graduated medical school? Another pause. Of course I know you graduated. We're very proud of you. When was my graduation? I could almost hear him thinking, scrambling. It was earlier this year. When specifically? Victoria, why are you asking me this? Because I want to know if my own father remembers when his daughter became a doctor. The silence stretched between us, filling with years of missed calls, ignored achievements, and conversations that somehow always pivoted back to Maya. May, I said quietly. My graduation was May 15th. I sent pictures to the family group chat. I texted you directly. I called Mom. We were probably busy with wedding planning. You were busy with Maya's wedding planning. Like you've been busy with Maya's life for the past 28 years. That's not fair, Victoria. You've always been independent. You never needed as much support as Maya. And there it was. The excuse that had followed me through childhood, high school, college, and medical school. Victoria doesn't need help. Victoria figures things out on her own. Victoria is fine. Except I hadn't been fine. I'd been exhausted, overwhelmed, and desperately wanting someone in my family to acknowledge that becoming a doctor was hard. That I'd sacrificed relationships, sleep, and sanity to get here. That maybe, just maybe, I deserved a congratulations or a proud phone call to the relatives. I have to go, Dad. I have patients to see. Victoria, wait. Will you at least think about coming home this weekend? Maya really does need you. I looked out at the city that had held me through medical school, through boards, through the brutal first years of residency. The city where I'd made friends who celebrated my achievements, mentors who pushed me to be better, colleagues who saw me as Dr. Moreau, not just Maya's responsible older sister. No, I said, I won't be coming home this weekend. But Maya is 26 years old. She'll survive a broken engagement. People do it every day. Victoria, you're being selfish. Selfish. The word hit me like a slap, but instead of the usual guilt, I felt something else. Clarity. Am I? Or am I finally being honest about the fact that I'm tired of being the family member who only matters when someone needs something? I hung up before he could respond. My phone buzzed immediately with a text from my mother. Your father said you're being difficult. This isn't like you, sweetheart. Maya needs her sister right now. I stared at the message, then typed back. When did I graduate medical school? The response came 20 minutes later. You know we're proud of you, Victoria, but this isn't the time to make everything about you. I turned off my phone. That evening, I met my friend Jessica for dinner at a small Italian place in the North End. Jess was a fellow resident, pediatric surgery, and one of the few people who understood the particular exhaustion that came with our profession. You look like someone who got bad news, she said, sliding into the booth across from me. I told her everything. The fake emergency, the forgotten graduation, the 28 years of being the reliable daughter who never needed anything. When I finished, Jess was quiet for a long moment, twirling pasta around her fork. You know what's crazy? She finally said. My parents drove 12 hours to watch me graduate. They took pictures of me walking across the stage, posted them on Facebook, called my grandparents. My mom cried. I nodded, trying not to let the comparison sting. But here's what's crazier, Jess continued. They did all that because they love me and they're proud of me. Not because I'm the family problem solver or the responsible one, or because they needed something from me, just because I'm their daughter. She looked at me directly. Victoria, that's what you deserve. That's what everyone deserves. I picked at my salad, not trusting myself to speak. When was the last time they asked about your life? Your work? How you're doing? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I can't remember, I admitted. That's not normal. You know that, right? I did know that. I'd known it for years, but I'd spent so much energy making excuses for them that I'd convinced myself it was normal for me. Victoria doesn't need attention. Victoria is fine. What are you going to do? Jess asked. I met her eyes. I'm going to let Maya figure out her own life, and I'm going to stop answering emergency calls that aren't emergencies. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 34 text messages. All from my family. Mom. Victoria, please call. Maya is asking for you. Dad. This is getting ridiculous. It's one weekend. Maya, finally. V. I know we haven't talked in a while, but I really need you right now. Connor left me and I don't know what to do. I scrolled through them all, feeling that familiar tug of guilt and responsibility. Maya needed me. The family expected me to drop everything and come running. Instead, I got dressed, grabbed my coffee, and walked to the hospital. Dr. Martinez, my attending, was reviewing surgical schedules when I arrived. Moreau, good timing. I wanted to talk to you about the pediatric cardiac case coming in next week, complex repair, and I think you're ready to take the lead. I blinked. Take the lead? You've been doing excellent work. Your suture technique is solid. Your patient rapport is outstanding, and you've shown real surgical intuition. It's time to step up. I felt a warm rush of pride, the kind I hadn't experienced from my family in years. Thank you, Dr. Martinez. I won't let you down. I know you won't. You're going to be an excellent surgeon, Victoria. As I prepped for my first case of the day, I thought about the difference. Dr. Martinez saw my work, acknowledged my growth, trusted me with more responsibility. He knew my strengths because he paid attention to my development. My family knew me as the daughter who solved problems and asked for nothing in return. The weekend passed quietly. I worked, studied, went for long runs along the river. My phone continued to buzz with increasingly frantic messages from Chicago, but I didn't respond. On Sunday evening, my mother called from Maya's phone. I answered without thinking. Victoria, thank goodness. Maya has been crying for 3 days straight. She won't eat, won't shower, won't leave her room. We're seriously worried about her. Mom, Maya is going through a breakup. It's normal to be sad. This isn't just sad, Victoria, this is concerning. As a doctor, surely you can see that she needs professional help. There it was again, as a doctor. The only time my medical degree mattered to them was when they needed to use it. If you're concerned about Maya's mental health, you should encourage her to see a therapist or a psychiatrist. I can give you some referrals. She doesn't want to see a stranger, she wants her sister. I'm not a psychiatrist, Mom, I'm a surgical resident. But your family, you understand her. I sat down on my couch, looking out at the Boston skyline. The city lights twinkled like stars, each one representing lives, dreams, people building their futures. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course, sweetheart. What's my specialty going to be? Silence. I mean, I know you're going to be a doctor. I am a doctor. I graduated medical school. What I'm asking is, what kind of doctor am I training to be? I could hear her thinking, probably trying to remember if I'd ever mentioned it. You work with children? Pediatric cardiothoracic surgery, I said quietly. I operate on children's hearts. I've been training for this for 2 years, and I'll be in residency for 6 more years total. That sounds very impressive, honey. Mom, I sent you an article last month about a surgery I assisted on. A 7-year-old girl with a complex congenital heart defect. We saved her life. I must have missed that. Of course she had. Just like she'd missed my graduation, my match day, my first day of residency, every milestone that mattered to me. But Victoria, right now Maya needs to learn how to handle disappointment without having her older sister drop everything to fix it for her. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. Maya is an adult. She'll survive this breakup, just like she survived the last one and the one before that. This is different. She was going to get married. And now she's not. It happens to millions of people every year. My mother was quiet for a long moment. Then, I don't understand what's happened to you, Victoria. You used to care about your family. I do care about my family, but I also care about myself, and I'm tired of being the only one who does. I hung up and turned off my phone. Monday morning brought a new kind of peace. I went to work, focused on my patients, and participated in surgical rounds without the constant buzz of family drama in the background. Dr. Martinez pulled me aside after a successful valve repair. Excellent work today, Moreau. You're developing real confidence in the OR. Thank you, I love this work. It shows. Have you given any thought to where you want to do your fellowship? Fellowship. The next step after residency, specialized training in pediatric cardiac surgery. I'd been thinking about it for months but hadn't discussed it with anyone. I've been looking at programs in Seattle, San Francisco, maybe Boston Children's if I can stay here. All excellent choices. You should start thinking about research projects too. Publications will strengthen your fellowship applications. As he walked away, I realized something. Dr. Martinez knew more about my career goals than my own parents did. That afternoon, I made a decision that had been building for weeks. I called the family group chat from my hospital ID and left a voicemail. Hi everyone, this is Victoria. I wanted to let you know that I won't be coming home for the holidays this year. I'll be working. And honestly, I need some space from the family dynamics that have been weighing on me. I love you all, but I'm tired of only hearing from you when someone needs something. If anyone wants to have a real conversation about my life, my work, or how I'm doing, I'd welcome that. But I'm done being the family emergency contact for non-emergencies. Maya, I hope you're feeling better, and I genuinely hope you find happiness. But you need to find it without me managing your emotions for you. I'll talk to you all when you're ready to see me as a person, not just a solution to your problems. I sent the message and felt something lift from my chest. 2 hours later, my phone rang. It was my grandmother, my father's mother, who I hadn't spoken to in months. Victoria, darling, I just heard your message. Hi, Grandma. I wanted to tell you something. I've been watching this family treat you like hired help for years, and I'm proud of you for finally saying something. I blinked, surprised by her directness. You are? Honey, I've watched you excel at everything you've touched while they ignored your achievements and demanded your services. It's been shameful to watch. I thought maybe I was being too sensitive. Sensitive? Victoria, when you graduated medical school, I called your mother to ask about a celebration. She said you were low-key about it and didn't want to fuss. I knew that wasn't true. My chest tightened. She said that? She did, and I've regretted not calling you directly ever since. So I'm calling now to say, congratulations, Dr. Moreau. I am incredibly proud of you. I felt tears prick my eyes. Thank you, Grandma. Now, I have a question for you. Are you happy in Boston? I am. I really am. Good. Then stay there. Build your life there. Let Maya figure out her own problems, and let your parents learn to appreciate what they've been taking for granted. After we hung up, I sat in my apartment feeling lighter than I had in years. Outside, Boston continued its bustling rhythm, indifferent to my family drama, focused on the future. I opened my laptop and began researching fellowship programs in earnest. Seattle had an excellent pediatric cardiac program. San Francisco was doing groundbreaking work in minimally invasive techniques. Boston Children's was right here, and I already had connections. For the first time in my adult life, I was making decisions based purely on what was best for my career, my happiness, my future. Not on what was most convenient for my family, or what would allow me to rush home for every crisis. My phone buzzed with a text from Maya. I don't understand why you're being like this. I've always supported you. I stared at the message for a long time, then typed back. When did I graduate medical school? No response. 3 days later, another text. Fine, I don't remember exactly when you graduated, but I've always been proud of you. I didn't reply. A week passed. Then 2. The frantic calls and messages slowed, then stopped entirely. My family, it seemed, had accepted that I wasn't coming to their rescue this time. I threw myself into work with renewed energy. The pediatric cardiac case Dr. Martinez had mentioned went beautifully. I published a case study about a rare congenital defect we'd repaired. I presented research at a conference and had senior surgeons from other hospitals ask about my fellowship plans. I was building something real, something that belonged to me. On Thanksgiving Day, I volunteered for the holiday shift at the hospital. Many of the other residents had gone home to their families, but I preferred to be here, taking care of patients who actually needed me. Dr. Martinez found me in the break room around mid-afternoon. Moreau, what are you doing here? I thought you'd gone home for Thanksgiving. I picked up the holiday shift, figured other people had families to get back to. He sat down across from me, unwrapping a sandwich. Don't you have family? I considered the question. I have relatives, but I'm building my own life now. He nodded thoughtfully. You know, some of the best surgeons I know had to leave their families behind to become who they were meant to be. Not everyone understands the dedication this career requires. Do you think that makes us cold? I think it makes us focused, and focus saves lives. As if on cue, my pager buzzed. Emergency surgery, pediatric patient, cardiac trauma. I stood up, adrenaline already kicking in. Speaking of saving lives, the surgery took 4 hours. A 6-year-old boy who'd been in a car accident, damage to his aorta that required immediate repair. I took the lead, Dr. Martinez guiding me through the most complex portions. When we closed, the boy's vitals were strong and stable. Beautiful work, Moreau, Dr. Martinez said as we scrubbed out. That's the kind of surgery that makes this career worth it. I nodded, feeling the familiar high of a successful operation. This was what I'd trained for. This was what mattered. Later that evening, I sat in my apartment with takeout, Thai food, and a glass of wine, reading surgery journals and making notes for my fellowship applications. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Connor, Maya's ex. I know this is weird, but I wanted to thank you for not enabling her drama anymore. She needs to learn to cope with disappointment on her own. Good for you for setting boundaries. I stared at the message, then deleted it without responding. I didn't need validation from Connor, but it was interesting to know that even Maya's ex-fiancé had noticed the family dynamic. December arrived with Boston's first real snowfall. I loved winter in the city. The way it transformed everything into something clean and bright. I was walking home from the hospital when my phone rang. My father's name on the screen. I debated ignoring it, then decided to answer. Hi, Dad. Victoria. His voice was different, less commanding. How are you? I'm well. Busy with work. Right. Work. Victoria, I wanted to apologize. I stopped walking, standing under a streetlight as snow fell around me. For what, specifically? For not being more supportive of your career. For taking you for granted. For making you feel like you only mattered when we needed something. I was quiet, letting him continue. Your grandmother called me. She told me some things I didn't want to hear about how we've treated you over the years. And she was right. We've been unfair to you. We've expected you to always be the responsible one, the one who dropped everything for family, while never really celebrating your achievements or asking about your life. I felt something loosen in my chest, but I stayed cautious. What brought this on, Dad? Honestly, Maya's been seeing a therapist. The therapist asked her about her family support system, and Maya realized she couldn't really describe your life beyond she's going to be a doctor. She couldn't tell the therapist what kind of doctor, where you lived, what you were passionate about. Nothing. I exhaled slowly, watching my breath form clouds in the cold air. It made us all realize how little we actually know about you, he continued. How much we've taken you for granted. Dad, I appreciate the apology. I really do. But I need you to understand that this isn't something that can be fixed with one conversation. I know. I'm not asking for forgiveness right away. I'm asking for a chance to do better. I started walking again, my footsteps crunching in the fresh snow. What would doing better look like? It would look like me asking about your residency, your patients, your plans for fellowship. It would look like us celebrating your achievements instead of just assuming you don't need recognition. It would look like supporting you the way we've always supported Maya. I was quiet for a long moment. Dad, do you know what kind of surgery I'm training for? Pediatric cardiothoracic surgery. You operate on children's hearts. I was genuinely surprised. How do you know that? I looked it up. I read about your residency program, about what the training involves. Victoria, what you're doing is incredible. And I'm ashamed that I never bothered to learn about it before now. We talked for another 20 minutes. He asked about my cases, my research, my fellowship applications. He listened when I told him about the complexity of pediatric cardiac surgery, the years of training ahead of me, the sacrifices I'd made to get here. When we hung up, I felt cautiously hopeful. Over the next few weeks, the changes were small but noticeable. My mother texted asking about a surgery I'd mentioned. Maya sent an article about a new cardiac procedure with a note. Thought you might find this interesting. They were trying, but I was also different now. I'd learned to exist without their approval, to find validation in my work and my own sense of accomplishment. Their newfound attention was nice, but it wasn't necessary for my happiness anymore. In January, I got news that changed everything. I'd been accepted to the Pediatric Cardiac Surgery Fellowship at Seattle Children's Hospital, one of the top programs in the country. I called my family to share the news. Victoria, that's incredible. My mother's voice was genuinely excited. Tell us everything. When do you start? What will you be doing? I spent an hour on the phone with them, explaining the fellowship, the research opportunities, the cases I'd be working on. For the first time in years, the conversation was entirely about me, my achievements, my future. When Maya got on the phone, she said something that surprised me. V, I'm so proud of you, and I'm sorry it took me so long to really see how amazing what you're doing is. Thank you, Maya. How are you doing? Better. Therapy is helping. I'm learning to, I don't know, handle my own problems instead of expecting everyone else to fix them for me. It was the most self-aware thing I'd ever heard her say. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself. Yeah, and Victoria, I know I was selfish for a long time. I know I took advantage of the fact that you always came running when I needed help. That wasn't fair to you. I felt tears prick my eyes. I appreciate you saying that. I love you, big sister, and I'm going to do better at showing it. After we hung up, I sat in my apartment looking out at the Boston skyline one last time. In 6 months, I'd be in Seattle, starting the next phase of my career. My family was finally making an effort to know and support the real me. But even if they hadn't changed, I knew now that I would be okay. I'd learned that I didn't need their approval to know my worth. I didn't need to be the family problem solver to have value. I could love them and still prioritize my own life and happiness. I opened my laptop and began researching neighborhoods in Seattle, excited about the future I was building for myself. A future where I was Dr. Victoria Moreau first and the responsible daughter second. Outside, Boston hummed with its usual energy, but I was already dreaming of the Pacific Northwest, of the cases I'd work on, the lives I'd save, the surgeon I was becoming. For the first time in my adult life, I was putting myself first, and it felt like coming home.